What's happening? On this episode, Farofa. I'm Bernardo and this is Savage Kitchen. Farofa. If you're not familiar with Farofa, Farofa is a Brazilian side dish typically served at dinner or lunch. It's a savory dish. And it roughly translates, Farofa roughly translates into English into crumbs or little crumbs. Before we get into the recipe, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the ingredients and the legend of Farofa. Let's start with the ingredients. The main ingredient in Farofa is cassava flour. Cassava flour, you might know it as tapioca flour, but it is a little bit different, a little bit more ahead. Cassava is a rooted vegetable similar to a potato or a sweet potato. In Spanish, it's known as yuca, and in Portuguese, it's manioca. So it's a root-like vegetable, and as I mentioned earlier, it can be turned down into a flour. In America, tapioca is the ingredient that I'm familiar with that comes from the cassava flute. I don't know why they changed the names on everything, but they do. The biggest difference between tapioca flour and farofa flour or cassava flour that I've seen is that the tapioca flour is very fine, as I mentioned earlier, and it's very white. Farofa flour or cassava flour there's two types. There is the non-toasted, which looks a little like sand, and then there's the toasted or roasted cassava flour, which is the one that we're going to use today. The differences in the roasted and the non-roasted is that the roasted has a yellow hue to it. When you see them side by side, it's indistinguishable. Where can you buy cassava flour? You can typically find it at Latin American markets. If you know a great Brazilian grocery store, they for sure will have it, most likely both varieties of cassava flour. If not, I'll drop you guys a link in below where you can buy some online. Now for the legend of the farofa. I love this legend of farofa. So, like many Brazilian dishes, they became popularized in the colonial period when the Portuguese first came over. It was a native dish. Legend has it that it started off with a turtle shell. So the natives were cooking dinner on a turtle shell. I would assume ate the turtle, had the leftover shell, threw the cassava flour in there. The fats from the turtle melted into the dish. They mixed it all around like a stir fry, and you get the farofa, the original farofa, I should say. The Portuguese then came over, changed the turtle fat into bacon fat, added some onions, added garlic, eggs, and different vegetables, and now it's the farofa that we have today. Well, let's get into the farofa. Let's get into the dish. You want to get yourself a skillet. Start off by cooking your bacon. I have some frozen bacon. I always have frozen bacon in the refrigerator, or in the freezer, I should say. So throw your bacon in there and start rendering the fat down a little bit. As you get halfway down to rendering the bacon, you want to start cooking your onions. Once you have cooked your onions to your liking, you can now start adding your farofa. Add your farofa to the dish and start toasting it on the bottom of the pan slowly. Note that if you don't have enough bacon grease, you should add some oil. Any oil will do. I typically use a neutral vegetable oil or canola oil, but you can use whatever you have. Once you start roasting and the bacon and the onions have cooked a little bit longer, you want to then throw your egg. I'll shove a little bit of the farofa off to the side and make a little pocket in my pan, add a little oil, and drop my egg. Once you drop your egg in there, I just let it cook for a few seconds right before I start mixing it up. The point is you don't want to throw the egg on top of the farofa so the egg doesn't cook and it just sits on top. That's why I throw it in the pan. Once you have all your ingredients incorporated, you can just start mixing it around like a stir fry. And as it starts becoming a little golden light color, that's when it's starting to finish off. Farofa is a golden light color, but you can have it well cooked, like cooked well, or not cooked. I want to say medium rare, but that doesn't make sense here. But well cooked or not as cooked. I just cook it in for a few minutes. Throw a little green onion on top if you want it as a garnish, or a little parsley. This is a great dish. It's a very typical side dish in Brazil. Great with black beans on top of it. Throw a little couve and a little bit of rice and mix it all up. It's excellent. Add a piece of meat, you have yourself a typical Brazilian plate. But let's dig into it. Let me show you guys a little try. A little bacon, a little onion. That's great. That's really good. You can eat it just like I'm eating here. I don't think you'd want to eat a whole bowl of this. I prefer this with the little black beans. In Brazil, it's really popular to take a piece of meat, a little piece of meat on a fork or on a toothpick, and then just dip it in the farofa, and then grab yourself a little meat farofa bite. But there you have it, folks. Farofa, one of Brazil's most favorited dishes. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment below if you liked it. Hit me up with a subscribe if you like my videos. And until the next one, ciao ciao, my friends.